Hi again. This will be a continuation of our discussion of responsive web design and media queries. I have a simple web page here, and it mocks up the example that we saw in Sketch. You know, there's 100% column and two or three 33% columns, and then another 100% area here. And what I've done is I used the simple grid from the earlier example. So I've imported that up here, simple grid CSS. This actually has a fixed grid size in it, so I kind of overrode that here and set the grid size to 80%, okay? And I did that so that we can see the grid, change size, right? So as I drag this in, you can see the grid shrinks, and then these guys are still 33%, right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. It would still work with a fixed size. But anyway, you can see here, like when I drag this, this is going to shrink down to a certain point. Imagine that we have some breakpoints in there. Like we could have the layout change when we get to here and here. I have a breakpoint, but it's just for mobile devices. And so when I get to here, all of a sudden, it changes to the 100% layout, right? Okay, so I've got one breakpoint here and one here, right? So this one maybe doesn't really work. But imagine, people aren't going to be dragging your web pages like this and finding out, where they don't work anymore. Essentially, you're going to be on the desktop and the page will display like this, or someone's going to load your site on mobile and it will just start like this, and on a mobile screen nobody changes the size, right? So anyway, so we see this in action. So let's take a look at the media queries, right? So essentially what I have is one media query here, okay? And what I've done is I set the media query. I didn't follow the one in the Bootstrap example. I used my own breakpoint and I set it to 414 pixels, and this is the size of the iPhone 6 Plus. So if my screen size is 414 pixels at maximum, okay, then these will apply. So if the screen is smaller than 1440, all of the rules here still apply, but if it's 1415 and larger, then 415 and larger, then these rules don't apply. Okay, so this only goes up to a maximum width of 414. Okay, and I did a couple things here. I set the body tag just so I can see the background color change, and that kind of really alerts us that the media query is kicking in. So you probably wouldn't do that on your site, but it's a good test, right? So you can just tell that your media query is kicking in. You'll notice here I included a style that says column 100 mobile, right? And it's got width of 100%. And then I also changed the grid size to width 100%. So when we're, larger than 414 pixels, or when the width is greater than 414, then the width of the grid is 80%. And the column 100 mobile style doesn't apply, or this class has no rule, so it doesn't do anything. The grid class defines column 33, and you can see on the 33% grid columns, there's 3 of these, and they all look the same. I included a class from the simple grid style sheet that is column 33, so that should make this div 33% wide. And then I also included the mobile 100 thing. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't restyle the column 33 class, okay? So I didn't restyle that because I feel like that is kind of like not working well for you. It's like here, if we made, column, if I restyled, column 33, then, it doesn't make sense that this would be width 100% when you read it, right? Because it says 33 on it. And if there were other styles associated with this column class in another style sheet that I'm not aware of, because it's in the grid style sheet, right? Then I might override those and create weird behavior and not understand that, I'm making a change, that I'm changing something that's required. So it's kind of better for me to just add another rule on top of there right, on top of what I have that, kind of overwrites just the properties that I want to overwrite. And then I know that what this one does, because it says, column 100% on mobile, right? So I know that this style is going to apply when we're on the mobile device, right? So anyway, that's the route that I chose, and I feel comfortable about this. And this kind of gives you a lot of interesting possibilities, because you could, even before you started, making your page, you could say, make another rule here that's mobile 50, and then once you've got one of these, then if you had something down here that needed to be 50% on mobile, then you could say like, hey, why don't we make this 50% on mobile, right? And we can just put the rule in there. This is going to create a problem for me because I have well, actually, maybe that would work. I don't know. We'll give it a try, right? So I could put these two side by side, but we'll give it a try here. Oh yeah, look, it actually worked pretty good without even thinking about it. But anyway, so there we go, right? So that gives us a quick overview of how you might approach using media queries in your work. A good rule of thumb here is don't overthink it. Okay, just start with your basic web page, get the whole thing working on either the desktop or mobile, right? And don't even think about the media queries. And then just identify the few things that need to change to get your design working on, the other side. So if I plan for the desktop, then once I've got that all finished, then I'll plan for mobile, and I'll just set up the media queries and just edit the few things that need to change to get things working on mobile, right? And there you go, right? So anyway, so thanks for watching, and then in the next video we'll talk maybe about other ways to test, okay? And how you can do a good job testing. And then I also want to talk about this meta tag here, because this is kind of an important one, okay?